Calaroga Shark Media.
Yes, it's another Stephen Colbert-based bonus episode. Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. On The Late Show, Monday night, Stephen Colbert responded to Donald Trump. You may recall that Trump was happy that The Late Show was ending. Colbert said, "How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical wisdom?" Colbert then turned to a different camera labeled Eloquence Cam and declared, "Go F yourself." Oh, there were a lot of F-bombs last night. We will get to that. In his monologue, Stephen Colbert said, "Folks, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Cancer culture has gone too far." He then talked about how he can go scorched earth over the next 10 months until the show ends and said, "The gloves are off. I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting now." He looks into the camera and says, "I don't care for him." Colbert thanked CBS for its support throughout the years, but then asked, "But how could it be purely a financial decision if The Late Show is #1 in ratings? It's confusing." A lot of folks are asking that question, mainly my staff's parents and spouses. He noted that CBS, quote, followed up their gracious press release with a gracious anonymous leak and then showed screenshots of sources telling the New York Post that the show loses between $40 and $50 million a year. Colbert said, 40 million's a big number. I could see us losing 24 million, but where would Paramount have possibly spent the other 16 million? With those numbers, I gotta say, it makes sense we'd be canceled. I get it, guys, and thanks again, okay? Thanks to the network. Out come guests Weird Al Yankovic and Lin-Manuel Miranda. They came out to play some Coldplay. Then the camera panned through the audience and caught various duos in the audience, including CNN's Anderson Cooper and Bravo's Andy Cohen, NBC's Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, John Oliver with Jon Stewart, and Adam Sandler with Christopher McDonald. Also in the audience triumphed the insult comic dog. Then the camera panned to a cartoon of Trump hugging the Paramount logo. A producer hands Colbert a piece of paper. He says, "Stop playing, I'm sorry. I just got this note from corporate. Your song has been canceled. It says here, this is purely a financial decision. It says that since you started playing that song, the network has lost, and I don't know how this is possible, $40 to $50 million. Miranda said, "That's impossible. That song was a #1 song. Tell me this has nothing to do with who we just put a spotlight on." Colbert said, "There's nothing here that mentions that." Colbert told Lin and Weird Al, "The note says some very nice things about you guys. Performance, quality, stature, irreplaceable. Signed yours truly, the Paramount family of global entertainment properties and AI weapon systems." On The Daily Show, Jon Stewart said, "I'm not giving in. I'm not going anywhere. I think." Let's listen to pieces of Jon's monologue. I have absolutely trimmed this down. It does get a tad naughty at one point, not too bad. And Jon increasingly dropped F-bombs, which I trimmed.
Many of you may or may not know, Stephen and I worked together on this very program. Both of our shows reached an inflection point in 2015. Stephen chose to challenge himself by seeing if he could succeed the legendary David Letterman in, quite frankly, a much bigger pond than the one he and I had been swimming in. And I quit. I quit. Stephen challenged himself. I passed away. Stephen challenged his abilities in the biggest field you could, and I literally went to a farm upstate. And now, Stephen has been canceled for purely financial reasons. And by the way, not just Stephen's show, CBS has canceled the entirety of the Late Show franchise. Gone! Now, I acknowledge, losing money. Late night TV is a struggling financial model. We are all basically operating a Blockbuster kiosk inside of a Tower Records. But when your industry is faced with changes, you don't just call it a day. My God! When CDs stopped selling, they didn't just go, "Oh, well, music, it's been a good run." The fact that CBS didn't try to save their #1 rated network late night franchise that's been on the air for over 3 decades is part of what's making everybody wonder, was this purely financial? Or maybe the path of least resistance for your $8 billion merger? Look, I understand the corporate fear. I understand the fear that you and your advertisers have with $8 billion at stake. But understand this, truly, The shows that you now seek to cancel, censor, and control, a not insignificant portion of that $8 billion value came from those shows. That's what made you that money. Shows that say something, shows that take a stand, shows that are unafraid. And not to, believe me, this is not a, we speak truth to power. We don't. We speak opinions to television cameras. But we try every night. And if you believe, as corporations or as networks, you can make yourselves so innocuous that you can serve a gruel so flavorless that you will never again be on the boy king's radar, A, why will anyone watch you? And you are wrong.
David Letterman has weighed in on his own way. On Letterman's YouTube account, he posted multiple Colbert and CBS-related videos. He then put out a 20-minute supercut making fun of the network. The caption, "You can't spell CBS without BS." It'll be interesting when Letterman actually speaks about this. Jimmy Kimmel, who's on family vacation, slammed Donald Trump from said vacation. Kimmel shared a family photo from an anti-Trump protest and referenced a 2003 letter that the president allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein. Kimmel's Instagram caption read, "May every day be another wonderful secret," which references a line from the letter that Trump allegedly wrote, according to the Wall Street Journal. In the photo, Kimmel and wife Molly are pictured in anti-Trump shirts. Each member of the family is holding a sign. Phrases include "Don't bend the knee," "Make America good again," and "I wish we had a better president." Jimmy Fallon opened up his show saying, "I am your host." Well, at least for tonight. "I don't like what's going on one bit. These are crazy times." In the monologue, Fallon joked CBS could lose millions of viewers plus tens of hundreds watching on Paramount+. Stephen has done years of incredibly smart and hilarious television, and he's won 10 Emmys. Trump heard this and was like, "Big deal. Last week I won a FIFA World Cup trophy." More than 87,000 people have signed a petition on moveon.org demanding the Late Show stay on the air. 87,000's not going to do it. Late Nighter had some other numbers on Tuesday morning. They say at last count, more than 24 different petitions had sprung up on change.org, collectively drawing over 36,000 signatures. That's not going to do it. They add that a petition on the Progressive Change Campaign Committee has passed 120,000 signatures. All that adds up to roughly the 200,000 people in the 18 to 49s that were watching the show. Many things can be true at once. We can all support Stephen Colbert. We can all have our spidey senses up about the merger stuff. But also, if the numbers are anywhere near accurate, it's a lot of money to lose for 200,000 people in the 18 to 49s, says the guy who's older than that demo. Outside the Ed Sullivan Theater on Monday afternoon, a group of protesters assembled, chanting, "Colbert stays, Trump must go." They were organized by a group called Refuse Fascism. One of the organizers told WCBS News, "We are trying to wake up the people. Too many people accepting this and saying, Colbert will miss you. Actually, we can't accept this. This is illegitimate." Prior to the protest, they had circulated a flyer which said, "This has the pungent odor of appeasement to fascism. Unconscionable." Andy Cohen, I think, is speaking truth and logic. He said, "So suddenly the show's losing $40 million a year and they're going to cancel it. Typically, what would happen if a show's losing money that is also super important to the network? What they would probably do is say, listen, Steven, your show's losing X amount of money a year. There's two things we could do. We could cut the budget in half, maybe move out of the Ed Sullivan Theater, do the show in a small studio. Cut down on staff. You have 200 people working here. We need it to be 100 or 60. And instead of doing your show 5 days a week, we're going to do your show 4 days, pre-tape your Thursday show, so you're actually in production 3 days a week. That's a way right there to cut the budget at least in half. I don't know about half. I'd have to look at the numbers. But yeah, that doesn't sound crazy to me. Cohen continued, as opposed to saying out of nowhere, as Colbert portrayed it, they called him and said, your show's losing money, we're canceling it in a year. Instead, they're turning the lights out completely at 11:30, which says to me, CBS is just cooked. I mean, it's cooked. They're saying, we're done. Letterman's old producer, Rob Burnett, told Deadline, when we started The Late Show in 1993, we had the same goals everyone doing talk shows has, make people laugh, and never threaten a corporate merger. If Colbert had been number one in an Emmy 2 days prior, none of this would have happened. Burnett adds, while the financial landscape of late night has undeniably changed, I don't think you dismiss a talent like Stephen Colbert in this manner. It just doesn't make sense. Stephen is as good as it gets. He'll be heard from for many years to come. They should choose their adversaries more wisely. And that is your bonus episode today. If you missed it, there was a normal episode in the feed earlier today, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with your regular daily comedy news. See you then.